Before we go any further, I do want to add version control to this project. In this video, we're going to create a new repo locally, we'll make a new GitHub repository, and we'll push our code to that GitHub repository. If you're already familiar with Git or GitHub, you can go ahead and do that on your own. You don't need to watch this video. If you're just getting started and you want to treat this video as a challenge, that's great too. I highly recommend taking this video as a challenge. If you're new to Git and it doesn't make sense just yet, that's fine also. Simply follow along and we'll go through the whole process. This one is going to be really simple, nothing MongoDB related here. To get started, I am going to go ahead and initialize a new Git repository from the terminal using git init, which we explored in the previous section. This is going to initialize a new repository, and I can always run git status like this to take a look at the files that are untracked. Right here we have our playground folder, which we do want to add under version control, and we have package.json. We also have node modules. We do not want to track this directory. This contains all of our npm libraries. To ignore node modules over inside of Atom, we're going to make that git ignore file in the root of our project. If you remember, this lets you specify files and folders that you want to leave out of your version control. Right here, I'm going to create a new file, .git ignore. In order to ignore the node modules directory, all we have to do is type it exactly as it's shown here, node_modules/. I'm going to save the file, rerun git status from the terminal, and what do we get? We get the git ignore folder showing up, and the node modules folder is nowhere in sight. The next thing we're going to do is make our first commit using two commands. First up, I'm going to use git add dot to add everything to the next commit. Then I can make the commit using git commit with the M flag. A good message for this commit would be init commit. Excellent. Now, before we go, I do want to make a GitHub repository and get this code up there. That is going to require me to open up the browser and go to github.com. Once you're logged in, we can make a new repo just like we did in the previous section. I'm going to make a new repo and give it a name. I'm going to go with node course -2 to do API. Excellent. You can name yours something else. I'm going to go with this one to keep the course files organized. Now I can go ahead and create this repository. And as you remember, GitHub actually gives us a few helpful commands. In this case, we're pushing an existing repository from the command line. We already went through the steps of initializing the repository, adding our files, and making our first commit. That means I can take these two lines, copy them, head over to the terminal, and paste them in. Now, you might need to do these one at a time depending on your operating system. On the Mac, when I try to paste in multiple commands, it's going to run all but the last, and then I just hit enter to run the last one. Take a moment to knock that out for your operating system. You might need to run it as one command, or you might be able to paste it all in and hit enter. Either way, what we have here is our code pushed up to GitHub. I can prove that it's pushed up by refreshing the repository page, and right here we have all of our source code. The git ignore file, package.json, and we have our playground directory with our MongoDB scripts. That is it for this one. As promised, this one is simple, short, and unrelated to MongoDB itself. I'll see you next time as we explore how to delete data from a MongoDB collection.